Hello and welcome again to another episode of Battle Ready. Ready. Where today we thought we'd have a little bit of a lore chat.
Yeah.
Yes, so the lore, we don't talk about lore very much on this channel, but we should.
Yeah.
Because the lore is one of our favorite parts of the game.
Yeah. I read Black Library.
Yeah. Black Library is good. And there are lots of games out there, lots of miniature games even, that have no lore. Or like one page of lore. The lore is like, all you guys hate each other and you were here to fight. There's your lore. Go.
Okay.
Right. But one of the things that sets Age of Sigmar apart is the really deep amount of lore that it has, right?
Second only to 40k.
Yeah. 40k is the big monster. The big papa.
30 years.
Yeah. That's a whole separate thing. But if you compare Age of Sigmar to most other games, it's going to have wildly more lore. And one of the things that's cool about Age of Sigmar, and I thought we'd give a little bit of a chat about, is the gods of the mortal realms. And what does that mean? Because it seems like the word god gets applied to several different types of things that are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, interestingly enough, there was a Warhammer Plus video on this.
Oh, was that?
Not too long ago.
Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
Oh, I did not.
Yeah. It was okay. It was fine.
What did it say?
Well, it sort of broke the gods down into 3 tiers, but I sort of disagreed with them.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's because the people that wrote Warhammer Plus were like, I don't know if the quality of their shows is always up to top notch, so maybe they didn't go into it too much. Or maybe I just have a bad misunderstanding of the gods. So I think we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I do see the mortal realms breaking down into 3 types.
Okay.
I think some things are gods just because they're crazy powerful. Like god beasts. Right?
Yes, that definitely falls in that category.
Right. I would even put Kragnos in that category.
Yeah, I would. I don't consider him
right, because he's the god of earthquakes. But he's not like
a dude nature.
Yeah, he's just something that's very. And I would even put Marathi before she ascended.
Yes.
Right. These are people who are crazy strong, crazy powerful, and because they are so much more powerful than most mortals, they're just called gods. Yeah.
Because they're insane.
Yes. So I think that's one tier. And these tiers, by the way, aren't necessarily in order of power. Mm-hmm. It's just like categories, right? It's like saying plants and animals. It's not like plants are more powerful than animals or animals are more powerful than plants. It's just different categories, right? The second one I would put as like the Mount Olympus gods.
Like the actual dudes.
Like they're people with motivations and feelings, and they walk around and they do things. And some of them have models. No, I do not think Chaos Gods.
Chaos Gods for sure going there. It's specific.
We'll get to it. We'll get there. But this is where I would put people like Sigmar.
Yes.
Alariel.
Yes.
Teclis.
Yes. Marathi after Ascension.
These are individuals who have achieved a state of power that's not just
Nagash.
Nagash. Yeah, for sure.
They're old worlds.
Yeah, most of them come from the old world, but their power comes not just from the fact that they're really good fighters or really big and strong. It comes from the fact that they've achieved a level of control, a level of mastery over something.
Yeah.
Right? Teclis over
magic. Like magic.
Hysh, right? Over magic. Or Nagash over death. Or Alariel over life. It's something like that.
Where they're just such an omnipotent avatar that they're called a god.
Yes, I definitely think that. So I would put all those, including Sigmar, in that category. And then the third category
is elemental gods?
I would call them the third category. So that second category is something that you would see, like I said, gods of Olympus is very analogous.
Like actual dudes.
The gods of Norse gods, like that. A lot of Egyptian gods are sort of like that, where it's really powerful people, but they have their own goals, their own ideas, their own things they want to do. They have plans for humanity, but sometimes humans do different things and they want, right? It's that kind of thing.
I put the Chaos Gods in both this one and the next one.
Okay. Well, the next one is, I don't know if you want to call it elemental, but I would almost call it like godly gods. Like, I think the third and final tier is the things that apply to things that are otherworldly and unknowable, right?
Yeah.
So I would put in this case all 4 Chaos Gods,
I also put them in the second one.
Including actually the fifth chaos god.
Yeah,
Let's put the horned rat
He's
in
there
there.
now.
Yeah, let's give him what he deserves.
Yeah.
Right.
He's got a whole edition for him.
That's right. But it's things that are so primal. Like, one of the things that's interesting about the chaos gods is they are consumed by whatever their thing is, right? Khorne is only about
Blood murder.
blood and murder. Sigmar, he really wants to fight chaos and create Stormcast guys, but
He will kill stuff.
he does other stuff too, right? He organizes councils. He gets people together. He has these cults that follow him, right? He's setting forth these cities. He's got a much larger master plan.
He's
Whereas
like the emperor.
Khorne is like more blood, more skulls, skulls and blood.
Blood for the blood god.
That is something he says. Yeah. What about his skull throne?
Skulls for it.
That's right. So I think that the sort of primal, elemental, godly gods. I think that they are consumed by a single aspect or a single sort of idea or purpose.
Gorkamorkos go bonk and beast.
And I also think that they are not easily defined as corporeal.
No, the castles are corporeal.
Yeah, Drake seems to think that there really is a guy named Khorne who's like, hi, he's got my name is Khorne right here on his name tag when he goes to like meet and greets and stuff. He's like, I'm
Yes.
Khorne, nice to meet
Yes,
you.
there was a
And the
dude
other guy's
in a
like,
chair.
oh, I'm Nurgle, nice to meet you. And then Khorne has to go wash his hands afterwards. And Nurgle's gross.
There are people.
I don't think that's true.
That's the difference between 40k and AoS chaos gods. 40k chaos gods are formed from warp essence and are just collective beliefs.
Yes.
AoS chaos gods are actual things.
Well, how did you come to this decision?
Because that's the main difference between 40k and AoS chaos gods.
No, I understand. You just said the same thing again.
Yes.
What I'm asking you is the basis for that.
The basis for that is the warp only exists in 40k,
Okay.
and we know that all warp magic comes from belief.
Okay. You're missing the point. How do you know that Khorne is a dude in a chair?
Because people have gone to the realm of chaos and seen Khorne as a dude in a chair.
I think they've just seen visions of what Khorne wants to show them.
But what about that one library novel where the Stormcast literally go into the Garden of Nurgle?
Yeah, there is a place, for sure.
Yes.
But they don't see Nurgle.
Did they not?
No.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, there's definitely a realm of chaos. And the realm of chaos is divided up between those chaos gods and possibly, potentially, other minor chaos gods.
That we just don't know about.
Potentially including Hashut, the chaos dwarf.
I don't think he's going to happen.
You don't think chaos dwarves are going to happen?
The chaos dwarves might
Oh,
happen.
okay, yeah.
But I don't think Hashut will happen. I think that's more along the lines of maybe like... Because there's like 80 different names for Khorne. And 80 different names for Nurgle.
That would be an interesting thing if the Chaos Dwarves followed Hashut, but Hashut was just an aspect of
a chaos god.
Khorne or Tzeentch. So that would be pretty cool. I'd be in favor of that. Anyway, putting that to the side. Whether they're real people or not,
They are.
the important part is they exist. They're different in kind
Where's Gorka
than the
Morka
Pantheon. Now that's a good question. Where does Gorka Morka go?
He was both a guy, because he fought Sigmar.
He definitely was corporeal.
Yes.
Yes.
He bonked Sigmar in the
Yes. Okay. According to the Age of Myth, he was corporeal.
He's not here anymore.
Correct. Although I don't think that matters because I think that you could have Teclis has a model because he's there, but Sigmar doesn't. But they're in the same category, right?
Yes.
So I don't think whether you're present or not, or like Grungy, right? I would put him in the same tier. Or what's the Fireslayer guy? Grimnir.
Yeah.
Same tier, even though they're not physically present doing things. Although maybe Grimnir is in the form of Urgold. Could be. He's always been with us all along. So I don't think that's important. But you're right that he does have a body. Okay, what else?
There's technically two of him, Gork and Mork.
Okay, well, are there two of him? Or is he one body with two heads?
Well, it's said in the Orc book that sometimes when he gets in a fight with himself, he'll split into two people.
Yeah, it also says he bit the moon, or the Gitz book.
Yes,
right?
he did bit the
You can't really trust the orc stories. All right? So I think it's really interesting. I think that is actually an interesting place to put him. Because...
Tier 4, Gorka Morga.
He's got his own guy.
He's his own thing.
I think I would put him in with the elementals.
Yeah.
Because he is so...
insane.
Part of that, right? He's so consumed by the idea of fighting and bigness and showing power. And power in a brutal or cunning way.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in like a, I have studied fencing my whole life. You've killed my father, prepare to die. Right? It's not like that, right? He's definitely just about brute savagery or brute cunningery. Okay. And so I think I would put him in, even though he's a corporeal god, and even though he's less powerful, I would argue, than any of the chaos gods, I would still put him in that elemental category.
Yes.
Because I don't think he's like the other gods. I don't think he's like the pantheon. Even though he was part of the pantheon at one time, I think it was just he was going to split because he was so consumed by what he is that he can't be part of a pantheonic order. He just doesn't have order in him.
He was for a little bit. Eventually, chaos just says, "No, go kill him," and he sort of obeys.
Yeah. I think because he and Sigmar fought. Sigmar gets his respect. He's like, okay, this is another powerful warrior. I can respect this guy. He wants me to go punch other things. I'll go punch other things. And so he did that for a while.
I think it's bored and goes.
But
chaos screws him over.
It's only so much time. I don't know about if chaos screws him over because I don't think.
In older books, it says that chaos whispers it into his ear. But in the 4th edition Battle Tome, it says you don't really know. It might have been chaos whispering in his ear. It might have been he got bored. Who's to say?
Yeah, I would actually be surprised if chaos had any, like if Tzeentch did some kind of trick and Gorka Morka thought something that wasn't true and got mad. I can see that. But whispering to him and like driving him away would be a little bit crazy to me. Because Gorka, like I said, I see Gorka Morka as this elemental god, as this primal god. So I don't think he can be influenced outside of the thing he likes. The thing unless if some greater demon came and had a punch up with him and gained his respect, he'd be like, okay, maybe I'll help you out too. But I don't think like somebody could whisper and be like, the Pantheonic Order is trying to
tame you.
Yes, exactly. And he'd be like, what? I must fight. I don't think that would. I just don't see that working.
Yeah, that was a 3rd edition stuff that happened.
In the same way, I don't think like Nurgle could tempt Tzeentch, right?
When did that happen?
It didn't. I don't think it could.
Oh.
I think if Nurgle used all his cultish power to try to tempt Tzeentch, it just wouldn't work because they don't speak the same language. Nurgle doesn't have the words to entice Tzeentch. Tzeentch doesn't have the power to entice Nurgle because they're on totally different wavelengths.
Yeah.
Right. So. That's sort of how I would classify the gods, in those sorts of categories. The super powerful creatures and Kragnos. Yeah. Right? And you could even Lord Croak isn't described as a god, but I could even put him in there.
Yeah, because he's category. Like a super slam.
Yeah, and he's sort of undead, right? Yeah. It's not.
Ooh, wait. Does that mean Nagash could go yoink?
That's funny. I wonder
if he could, because Croak is technically dead. But is it that his soul is sitting inside that desiccated frog and doing all the magic?
No one knows. No one has a specific answer to that.
4th edition hasn't happened yet.
But I would, that's true. Maybe when the Seraphon book comes out. But I would put that as one tier. Again, not necessarily a different power, because in the lore, right, it takes Croak and Marathi.
And Kronos and Karza.
Kronos and Karza are powerful, but I wouldn't put them at god status.
Yeah, they're like demigods.
But it takes both of them together to get rid of Kragnos, and they can only get rid of him.
Yeah.
Right? They can't actually kill him or stop him. They have to banish him to another part of the realm. So clearly, he's very, very powerful. Yeah. So again, these aren't power rankings. It's just the kind of thing they are. Then I would put basically all of the Pantheon. Yeah. Right? And
Nagash.
Yeah, he used to be part of the Pantheon, right? And
all of the OG Pantheon.
The OG Pantheon. And then and Marathi now.
Yeah.
And then I would put the primals, the people that are like a force of nature in that they have soul and singular purpose that they pursue without exhaustion.
Yes, except the cast gods also things.
Well, my division doesn't require any of them to be corporeal or non-corporeal.
Yes, but they have kanji. They're corporeal.
In the cast if you say so, okay. I think you're wrong, but that's fine. Let us know in the comments below who's right on this.
It's me.
Do the chaos gods have bodies? Like, do they like sit around? Do they actually have chairs that they're sitting in?
Yes.
Or is that not a thing is there really a Papa Nurgle who's standing in front of his cauldron? Or is it all appropriately just metaphor? Well, that's sort of how we look at the gods of AoS, which is interesting because there's not, like a monotheistic Judeo-Christian god over everything, right? But there's also not just... He's a god beast.
Yeah, but he's like saved the pantheon of order.
Yeah, remember, it's not a power category. Yeah. He would be super powerful, probably powerful than most of those other things. But he's a god beast. Okay. He's just a creature that is very powerful.
Okay.
Right? And so I think that that's sort of how I break them out. And again, it's not a power level thing. But it's different ways of thinking at it because the term God in AoS just gets applied to lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. And the demarcation lines aren't always super clear. Yeah. But if I think about them in those ways, I can sort of just broadly put them in that category. There are three kinds of things that get called gods. Because if you think of AoS only as Greek gods or only as primal gods or whatever, you're gonna miss out when they call Kragnos a god. You're gonna be like, well, how's this guy a god? It's in a different sense that I think that they call him a god. Yeah. That and they wanted a cool name when they wanted submodels. Yeah. Yeah. God of Earthquake sounds cooler than like Druguk King. Donut King, whatever his name is.
Druguk.
Yeah, but Druguk. Anyway, let us know your thoughts. What do you think of the gods of AoS? Put them in the comments below. Definitely tell Drake how wrong he is.
Tell Dad how wrong he is. It's
about people's bodies in the chaos realm.
There's a dude in a chair.
I don't think there is.
Totally is.
But this has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Thanks so much for watching.